walkthrough of the FeelJava application. So I've been teaching Java for some years, and I noticed that students often use a lot of time to handle the tool to just get started. So I thought it would be nice to have a tool to get a first impression of how it is to code in Java. So I developed this tool. On the left side is the Java code, and you can change all of these lines. For example, if I type here, how are you doing? It compiles it like while I'm typing, so you can see the result here. And then you are free to choose to add new lines if you like. Let's say if you want to type one more line, you could just copy it and say great or something. And you can do a print line, it will make it here. So you can pick a line there and then it'll look better. Okay, so the logic is you cannot change this line here. It has to be exactly like this. And you can import new classes here, for example random, if you want to have a random number, and so on. I've made 3 categories: text, sound, and graphics, so you can play with like different kind of code scenarios. So this is the hello world, obviously. Let's look at this one. This has like 2 loops, so you can see some stars being printed, and you can play with it by maybe saying hi there, and just see how I think it's amazing how it looks when you can see things change like as you type. Also, you can obviously change how many rows you want, and so on. Yeah. So 2 examples, and I have also bubble sort, but that's kind of technical. I don't go there now. Now let's take a look at the sound section. I have to replace this a little bit like this. You can see the text better. You can, as you can hear, there was a chord there. These 4 notes here make that sound. So if I change this to 58, we hear a +5 chord. And here you can change the length of them. Like if I put 2, short, longer, and so on. There's also the melody version, where the notes are playing one by one. And yeah, so this is just standard MIDI signals that are sent here. You don't have to worry about it being a lot of code. Just play with these numbers, you'll be fine. Okay, so let's take a look at the graphics. So the graphics uses Java FX actually, and this was something I'm kind of proud of, because I didn't know if this was even possible, but it is possible, obviously, to change the dimensions while it compiles. And you can change the color and the location of it, right? And you can always also make 2 of them. Just copy the code. So basically, this is just like a game area, like the play area for just experience the code. Yeah. If you don't know the methods for this, for example, graphics context, you can right click, and then you should have a drop down of all the methods, so you could just look them up and see the documentation below. Yeah, and you notice that this has a different signature, right? The other one was just a run method, but this one has a parameter, and you cannot change this line here. But you can like write the other methods here if you want. Provide some method. You can do this if you want, and maybe you can just say return some string, and then you can ask for the text here if you want. Yeah, what else can I tell you about this? Let's just go to loop throw. So this is just a more complicated example, and it has a loop that draws a lot of circles. You can change the number of circles, and if you just press space, you can see you get a random amount of circles, and the color changes randomly. So yeah, you can set the width to something more or less, whatever you like. And yeah, so let's go to the last one, which is 3D. Here it's even more like advanced code, you would say. I haven't worked a lot with this, but I just thought it looks so nice, it's so beautiful, so that's why I brought it. You can change the size of the planet and this timeline here is something that actually makes this run for one full rotation. We cannot see it like that. You can change this slider to allow for better space. So for example, if you want to try to have other images, you can do that. You can just put this line in here, and now you can see we have a different image, because this image is actually on my machine, and you can just whatever name it has, you can just type it here, and you will see that pasted on top of this sphere. Yeah, what else can I say? So we have some buttons here, pause compiling, if you want to write a lot of code, and the font here is the font of what? It's the font of the output, I think, if I remember correctly. Yes, it's the output here. The font size, obviously. So now I will talk about error reporting. So if you type some error, for example, you forget the semicolon, you will get an error here saying that there's some problem. For example, here, semicolon expected. For now, the line number is not completely correct because there are some imports in the background that are not counted here. So you have to figure out, but it often is on the line that you type, obviously. And if, for example, you just type some hello here, this is not a statement. So you get different kinds of errors from the compiler. If you try to type a wrong method, like say 1, 2, 3 here, it doesn't know this method, then it says cannot find symbol, and then yeah, so you have some help from the compiler. Finally, I will show you with the files that you can actually, if you think this is really beautiful, you can save it here, save file, just give it a name, just called orange.java, and now I can load this later. And there's a little thing here that you need to be aware of, that you have to be in the same signature as the one, like when you open it, you need to be in the same signature as when you saved it. And you can see these two first, they have the draw with the canvas, but the last one, it has a draw with a pane. So you need to be in the same as when you saved it to open it. And I have actually prepared one which is of this type here. Let's look at it. It's called my graphic. And you can see I can just load it in. And then I can play with this one rather.